Just a little bit about myself. That's me there, Joe Gill, solution architect. Basically, I help organizations build applications on the Power Platform. And I've been using Dynamics CRM since version 4. I've been an MVP since 2016. And I also run the Dublin Power Platform user group. My contact details are below. I haven't gone for a custom background, as you've probably seen here. I'm actually in a room that we're currently redecorating, so that explains the dust sheets on the piano behind me. So, okay. And as Kevin said, I'll stop every couple of minutes. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat, and the guys will moderate and they'll interrupt me after and put your question towards me. But feel free to ask any questions. Okay. All right, what are we looking at? We're looking at the Microsoft Power Platform. So what is it? It's basically a low-code platform that allows people to build apps, automate business processes, do BI stuff, analyze data, and also build chatbots. And it's a family of products that are low-code, no-code, that allow people to easily build these types of applications. Okay. I'm kind of assuming the audience here is a lot of techies, and I suspect some people might dismiss it out of hand, but I would encourage people to have a look at it because it's built on top of Azure, and although it's got tremendous capabilities itself, it can actually be extended as well and hook into things like, Azure Functions, Cosmos, all sorts of stuff. Okay. As I said, it's a family of products. So Power BI is probably the one that's most well known, and that's your analytics, business intelligence platform, cloud-based platform. Power Apps, which is a low-code application development, allowing basically anybody with relatively, without any serious technical skills to build web and mobile applications. Power Automate is a cloud-based workflow engine that allows you to connect apps and services to basically for integration and to automate repetitive tasks. And the newest member of the family is Power Virtual Agents, which basically uses a GUI to allow anybody to create and deploy a chatbot. Okay. This slide's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It's a slide from Microsoft about be a superhero and citizen developer. I mean, as everybody knows, there's a huge shortage of skilled professionals in the IT industry, and Power Platform does kind of help with that because it does allow people to get stuff done without having huge technical skills. As I said, look, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Okay. Right. Okay. Some of the benefits of using the Power Platform, like I say, is that it's built on top of Azure. And what Microsoft have done, they've built things called connectors, which effectively are wrappers on APIs. So at the moment, they've got 300, I think it's well over 300 connectors, which allow people to easily connect to a whole range of databases, services, all sorts of stuff, GitHub, SharePoint, the list is endlessly, okay? And basically what it does is that people don't need to know the ins and outs of calling an API. The connector abstracts all that from the person building an app or a flow within the Power Platform. Okay. You can also build your own custom connectors, okay? And what you're able to do as well is it is connect to multiple data sources in a single application. Okay. All right. Any questions there, guys, before I kind of give a rundown on Power Apps?
No, we're all good. All good. You're explaining clearly and concisely so much that no one has any questions, Joe.
Oh yeah. I love sarcasm. That's 900. Thanks, Kevin.
No. We've no questions, and we've got a number of attendees on. All right, so keep doing your magic.
All right, fair enough. Okay. All right. So basically, what you got is what Power Apps. Power Apps are basically a way of empowering anybody to be able to create an app for a mobile device or for the web. Okay. There's actually three different types of Power Apps. There's Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and then there's also the Power Apps portal. Okay, right. So basically, let me jump on to the next slide. Sorry, yeah. So Canvas apps are used to build typically task-based applications for phones or tablets. So effectively, you start off with a canvas, you drag components on it, and then behind those components, you add expressions to allow it to carry out some functionality. Okay. Microsoft described them as pixel perfect, which basically means they're fixed format. So when you create a Canvas app, you decide at the beginning whether you want a phone layout or a tablet layout. Okay. Like I said, they're good for things like a task-based application, like, an inspection, and especially where you want to utilize some of the capabilities of your mobile device, like a camera or GPS. So if somebody wanted to go out and you wanted to create an inspection app, or somebody could go out and take photographs and upload them to SharePoint and update a database, they would be ideal for that. Okay. As you can see from the slide, some of the downsides are fixed layout, although that's supposed to be changing. It says hard to use components here, but they are starting to introduce components now. And there's no data platform. So basically, if you create a Canvas app, you then use one of the connectors, which I spoke about earlier, and use a connector to connect to a service to basically update or retrieve data. Model-driven apps, okay? So basically, these allow you to quickly build applications, but these are typically end-to-end full line of business applications. And what you do is you use forms, views, and dashboards to basically put together a UI. And these are fully responsive. And an important subtlety here is that model-driven apps are basically built off the entity model within CDS. And I'll explain a little bit more about what CDS is in a moment. Okay. So model-driven apps. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Dynamics 365, or as it was previously known, Dynamics CRM. Model-driven apps have come from the Dynamics. So basically, it's the engine behind Dynamics 365. They've pulled it out and they've repurposed it for general application development. The third type of Power App is a Power App portal. So what that does is allows you to easily create a web portal to view and update data within CDS. Okay, so you can quickly create a website, customize it, and all the customization is done from within CDS, and it supports authenticated or unauthenticated access. Okay. All right, just before I go into and do some demos, just to give you a little bit of background, is that within the Power Platform, what you have this concept of an environment. So an environment is a container for a CDS database, but it also stores your app definitions, your flows, your data gateways. A data gateway is a piece of software you can install on a PC, which allows it to connect on-prem data sources to, the Power Platform. Okay, so you can create an application which connects from the cloud, comes to a data gateway, and connects to an on-premise data. Right. So all of this is configured and maintained within an environment. Okay, and a crucial part of this is the CDS database. So all of this, like I say, is built on Azure, and all of this inherited from the Dynamics 365 platform. So at the back end, you actually have SQL Azure, and the front of that, you've basically got REST services and a whole pile of stuff. Okay, the CDS includes stuff like auditing, security, and a whole pile of. It's a bit more than just a database, if you like. Right, guys. Any questions there before I'm going to jump in and do some demos?
No, all good. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, grand. Okay, I just need to switch now. share. Sorry, I just need to share. Okay. Everybody see Chrome there? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a demonstration of building some apps, Power Apps. So I'm going to go to let's log in. So this is what Microsoft call the maker experience, okay? And up here you can see, if I click on environment, you see I've got a list of environments. I'm in the PP demo environment, okay? So from here, I can go to apps, and if I've got some sample apps in there already. If I want to create a new app, if I want to create a Canvas app, I'm going to click on Canvas. Okay. So within the Canvas app, all right, I could start with just like a blank screen. So if you can see down the left-hand side here, I can start with a blank app and decide if I want a phone or tablet layout. I could actually, they've got some templates which give you a jump start. So there's a number of, if I look at some of these templates, there's things like a site inspection. So if you wanted to use one of those just to give you an idea how an app, that's a good option as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Canvas app. And what I'm going to do, the third option for create a Canvas app is actually I can connect it to a data service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the common data service. Okay, so within this environment, I've got a CDS data store, and within there you've got tables or as are commonly known entities. So I'm going to click on accounts. Couldn't see my connect button. Okay, so what's going to happen in the background now is it's basically going to connect to the accounts entity in the CDS data store. It's now going to create a simple app with 3 screens. Okay, let's get this. All right, so if I look down the left-hand side, I've got an application with a browse screen, a detail screen, and an edit screen. Okay. And if I can run this, see what it's going to do. So what it's done is give me a list of accounts. Here's a view screen. I can click in this. Okay. Okay, so basically I think within probably 2 or 3 minutes there, I was able to create an application which allows me to browse a table and update some records in that table. Okay. Just to give you an idea how it all works, firstly, let me just save this. I'll take a bit of practice. I'll give it an app and I'll call it this. Give it a color. A nice color. Save that. So I can now take that app and I could actually share it with other people in the organization. Go back. Right. Now let's just take a little bit of a walkthrough here just so we understand how some of this stuff works. So what I've got screens, and then see I've got 3 screens. Within the screens, so if I look at the top of these, I've got these components, different types. So this is text. Okay, this is an icon. And you can see over on the right hand side, we've got what's called the properties. Okay, so I've got a text box, I've got a few icons that do different things. And if I look at this, this is the sorting icon. If I look at this one, the refresh icon, you can see over here, you've got properties. So if you wanted to change the color, you could simply change the color. If you wanted to change the size, you can do it all from here. What can be confusing for traditional technical guys is the properties actually, although they control the properties like the layout, etc., they also control what happens, the events, and what that component does. So if I go to advanced, okay, and you can see on here, there's something called onSelect, and what it does a refresh, okay? So when you click, the onSelect basically means when this component is clicked. So when you click this component, it does a refresh of the account data store, okay? And you can also see up here, you can go to the different properties from up here and see the values behind it, okay? So the onSelect. So this is known as expressions, okay? And if I look at the gallery, which is the main one, and if I look at the items property, you can see here it's got like a sort by column. It's telling it which account which data source is connected to the search box, the search fields, and then the sorting as well, okay? So these are known as what's expressions, okay? So they're macro-like expressions for controlling what your application does. Okay. All right, some of the other stuff. It's a quick thing. So some of the other components you could use. So under here, input. So you could do things like, here's all your different types of input controls you can add, icons, customs, media. So if you wanted to take a photograph, there's barcode scanners. If you wanted to grab a signature, you could do that as well. So you can build all that stuff within your apps. Okay. We got any questions there, guys? Or?
No, all good to go.
Okay. All right. Let's close that down. So it's a canvas-driven app. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just do a demo of a model-driven app. And just before that, I'll just do a quick look here. So I'll just jump into entities here down the left-hand side in the maker experience. So each CDS environment comes with out-of-the-box entities. These are all the out-of-the-box entities, which a lot of business applications might require. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a model-driven app based on these these out-of-the-box. So I go to model-driven app. I'll just give it a name. Okay, I'm going to configure a sitemap. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly here. So what I'm doing is I'm basically creating a sitemap. I'm going to select some entities. I'm going to put them in a sitemap. Account. Sub area. I'm going to do another sub area. I'm going to call it contact. So basically I'm added. Those contacts. So what I'm doing here is basically, then I'm going to add a dashboard. Publish this. Okay, so basically there within I guess 2 minutes I was able to take the out-of-the-box entities, they're already populated with some sample data, put them to build an app, create a sitemap which allows me to navigate these. Okay, over accounts, I can look at the dashboard. Okay, so these are what's called a view, which is like a list of records. I can click through and I can look into the account. Okay, and if I look at this, and if I wanted to change it, for example, I wasn't happy, I wanted to remove the ticker symbol, I could come back here. I should be able to go to the forms. And then what I should be able to do is go to the form here, simply open it up. And then if I wanted to move any of these around, I've gone into the wrong form. I can simply move all of those, save it, and then republish it. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's a quick demo of moderating app. Before that, there was a Canvas-based app. Any questions or?
None so far, Joe.
You sure we got somebody here, Kevin, or is it just me talking to myself?
No, we definitely got some attendees, and
All right, okay.
you're talking to the recording as well. So, but no.
I thought my mum would have asked that question by now. All right, okay. Power Automate. Let's have a look at Power Automate. So what's Power Automate? So cloud-based platform for automating tasks. You can use it for integrating systems and then and obviously automating repetitive tasks. So it's all a GUI using the same maker experience. It's really easy to use, and it's got like and you can use like the hundreds of connectors that I spoke about previously. So what makes up a flow? Effectively, you have a trigger, something that kicks off the event. You then have actions. So in the example here, there's an action which is sending an email. And then you can also have conditional logic within a flow.
Joe, can I just jump in for 1 second, please, buddy? Would you possibly be able to zoom in? A few of the attendees can't see the text. It's a little bit small.
Actually, am I sharing the right one? Hang on.
There's nothing shared now, but I'll tell you what we see now. Okay, so we can see a deck. What makes up a flow?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. When I go back to Chrome, I'll increase it. Okay.
Good man. Thanks.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. I made it small so they couldn't see my mistakes. You see, so that's
good trick.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, you have a trigger, so something that kicks off the flow or workflow, then the actions that the flow does, and then you can also have conditional logic. Okay, there's a few different types of triggers you can have for a flow. You can have like a dedicated flow button. So actually there's a flow mobile app. So actually you can have on your flow app on a tablet or a phone, you can click a button and actually have some basic inputs as well, and that can trigger it. It can trigger it from other apps. So if something happens in, say, for example, SharePoint or Dropbox or Twitter, if a tweet came in with a specific hashtag, you could trigger off a workflow, and you could also have them to run on a schedule. Okay. Okay. The action, so basically you can have any number of actions in the trigger, and then you can connect to any of your cloud services using the connectors, and you can also use the data gateway that you connect to on-premise stuff. And then if you wanted, you could use a HTTP request and do a call if it wasn't available in out-of-the-box connectors. Okay. Okay. This is quite interesting, actually. This is only released a couple of weeks ago. It's something called UI Flows, and this is actually support for robotic process automation. So if you've got an older legacy system, what you can do is actually you can record the steps to carry out a task on an application, and then you can create a flow which will basically run that process. There's a Blue Prism is the big product in the RPA environment, if anybody's heard of that one. So I'll do a quick demo of that as well. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
No more.
No more? Okay, grand. Okay. You can see Chrome now, yeah?
Yeah, just need to zoom in a bit there, Joe.
Okay.
Maybe just a tiny bit more if it doesn't hinder you you doing the demo. A little bit more would be great. Yeah, that's cool.
Want to get a Specsavers, Kevin, I think. Yeah.
I'm asking the questions. That looks good. Looks good.
Okay, so let's go down to flows now. So again, we're in the, like I said, we're in the PP demo environment. All right. I've got one already, but what I do is I'll create a new one. So what I do, I'm going to create a new flow, and then basically I'm going to create an automated flow, which this means it's triggered by some event. Okay. So for example, I can create a flow, which is when a file is created in SharePoint. I call it. I can say which site. So here, this is the user connector. So this is using the SharePoint connector. I can select a flow contact. All right. So okay. So this is the trigger for my flow. So when a file gets created on this site in this folder, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an action. And what I'm going to do is something that comes with Power Automate is an approvals engine. So what I can do is I can make use of this, start and wait for an approval. I'm going to select first to respond. I'm going to say, and again, this is interesting. So what I've got here is where I've gone into the title to fill in the title for this approval. Over on here is I get the dynamic content. So actually I can pick up the properties of the previous trigger or action. So if I click file name, I call it test. Okay, I'm going to do a new step. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a condition. So I'm going to go to control. I'm going to add a condition. So basically I'm going to check. So again, this is the dynamic content. So I'm going to pick up the outcome from the previous action, and then I'm going to check if it's approved. I know I'm going pretty quick here, but really it's just to give you an idea how it could all work. And then if it says no, what I could do is go back to SharePoint. So that's the connector, SharePoint. Now I'm going to pick my action. So I could delete a file. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to pick the identifier. And again, I'm going to pick it from the okay, yes. So what I can do, I can scroll down and I can pick up from my very first action the file identifier. Okay. So now what I've got is I've got a flow, which is trigger here. Got to say contents. I need to go to the contact folder. You can see all of this, Kevin? Yeah.
Maybe if you can zoom, I
yeah.
Just a tad. Yeah.
Okay. So what I've done, I've updated, I've added a file to that folder. And then what should happen is when I go back to this flow, it is a bit perplexing sometimes, Flow. It does seem to ask you multiple times to save your flows. So here's my flow. Okay, and it's currently running. Okay, and the reason it's running is because, and if I open it up, so basically the file was created, that triggered the event, and now what's happened, it sent off an approval. So there's an email on its way to me, and also it'll come up on my Flow app asking me to approve this. So when I approve this, so this is waiting for this, when I approve it, it'll come back, and if I don't approve it, that file will be deleted from the folder. Okay, so I'll give that a minute for it to come through. And then what I will show you also, okay, Another one, if you're interested in doing integration, and I'm assuming most of you guys are Azure guys, so what you can do is you could actually create a flow, which is triggered with a HTTP rate. Okay, so what I can do, I can get a flow. Effectively, I can build my own API just using a Power Automate flow. So I can use a sample payload. So if I do something like now what I can do is I can use a common data service. I can create an action for this one. I can select the environment, which one I want to create. I'll select the PP demo. I'll select the entity I want to create. Text, there we go. And the second it'll expand. And now what it's doing again, what it's done here, look, it's taken the dynamic content. So that sample JSON I created for this HTML request, it's taken that. I can pull that in. I can do first name. Okay. So now if I look, I've saved this, and if I look back here, it's basically created a URL with a SAS token which I can use, and I could go to something like API tester, URL. Just in case I did a test previously. I do need to add a request header. Okay. All right. So just to summarize what I did there, I created a Power Automate flow, which gets triggered by the HTTP request. I gave it some sample JSON with just first name and last name. That was the trigger. And then what happened then is a call in action on the CDS connector to create a contact record with using the last name and first name that was passed in as part of the JSON. And then I then use this API tester, paste it across the URL I created and some sample data. And then hopefully, if I look at the flow back here, oh, let me test it again. Okay, I've missed something. I won't delay, but I guess the idea is for a technical audience just to appreciate how easy it is. So you could use something like this, and then it can connect to Oracle, whatever you want, and use the data to connect to on data. So effectively, you can quite easily use Power Automate flows as a basic connectivity channel between your cloud applications and your on-premise. Let's just see if that email came in. Okay. Right. Any questions, Kevin? Sorry, the last demo went a bit astray, but for the purposes of time, I'm going to crack on.
No questions, and the demo gods can't be good to us always, eh? Not a problem. No, even for someone like myself, I don't have much hands-on with this. It's awesome. So keep doing what you're doing, Joe.
Let's go back to the slides. Okay, so the power. All right. So the next one, Power Virtual Agents. So like I say, this is the newest member of the family. So the whole idea is that to making chatbots easy to use and stuff like that. So I have a slide somewhere which I think Gartner did some study and they reckoned that in 2020 that most people will be having more conversations with chatbots than with their partners. So that's probably a reflection on the people who work with Gartner than chatbots. But anyway, okay, right. Let me see. Okay, so what they've done, again, this is all built on top of the bot framework in Azure. So what Microsoft done with the Power Platform is built a nice graphical interface that allows you to easy to create a bot and conversational dialogues. It's also got support for analytics, and then it can be deployed to multiple different channels. Okay. The crucial part within PVA, Power Virtual Agents, is something called topics. So they would be known probably as dialogues in other engines. So they are basically your conversational workflows. They've got like set of trigger phrases, which uses AI to figure out what's going to trigger which topic. There's two different types of topics. The system topics, which are the out of the box one and which can't be deleted, and the trigger phrases can't be changed. And they are used by analytics to effectively start and end topics. Okay. You've then got your own user topics. So they are basically your own conversation, your own dialogues that you create and you want your bot. Okay, I need to add to this slide. So one of the good things about Power Virtual Agents as well is it's got capabilities that it actually call Power Automate Flow to access data in other platforms. So a bit like that second flow example I did on a HTTP request, you can use that type of flow to be called from a chatbot to return data to the user. Okay. All right. Just going to jump to going to go to the Power Virtual Agent sites, which is powerva.microsoft.com. And it's quite easy. If you want to try this out, it's easy to sign up for a trial. Okay. All right, so again, from up here, I can go to, okay. Yeah, let me look at this one. So this is, sorry, okay. That look okay, Kevin?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. All right, so okay. All right, so I'm in a Power Virtual Agents portal. So this is like the design tablet for it, okay? All right, so you've got some things to help you jumpstart here. You also got like a testing panel here. So I'm just going to hide that for a second, just to give it a bit more real estate. And then I'm going to jump to topics first. Okay, so if you look here, you got things like the system topics. So if I look at one of those. Okay, so here we've got the trigger phrases. Okay, so if this dialogue or conversation is to start one of these trigger phrases, or based on AI, a version of it will also trigger it. And if I go to the authoring canvas, Okay. All right. So again, you got a similar kind of graphical designer to Flow. You've got like your trigger phrases, and then what you've got here is these are what's called what are they called? Shoot. Oh, nodes actually. Yeah, these are called nodes. So here's a message node, and you can have different types of nodes. Okay. Let me just jump back to topics, and I look at a user topic. So I'm going to go to one called pet food. So here's one I created this earlier. Okay, so I've got trigger food, cat food, if I could spell it properly. Cat food, pet food, dog food. If I go to the authoring canvas. Okay, so here's the trigger phrases. Here's a node, which is giving a message. I can help you with cat food. Now I've got a node. This time, this node, this is a question. So it's asking the user what type of pet they have. They can select it or they can type it. And then you've also got things like conditions. So then based on what the user selects, that gets saved into a variable, pet type, and then you can use a conditional check to check and decide what you want to do. Let me just test this bot. So you can see it on the bottom if I put in dog food. Okay. All right. So you can see what it's done. It's effectively triggered the pet food topic. And then you can see the screen. It's highlighted. It's effectively kind of debugged and gone through and shown where the conversation has gone. Did this answer your question? If I say yes, now it will bring up the system one, the end of conversation. Okay, so now it's gone into the end of conversation one, which allows me to okay. All right, so that's my bot. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to publish my bot. So publish basically means okay. All right, so now I've published, so basically it's available for use. And then I have to configure, excuse me, which channel do I want this bot to appear on? So I go to channels. Here's a list of all the channels I could deploy it to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select a custom website. Sorry, that's that one. So if you had your own website, you could just take the snippet of HTML, cut and paste that into your website and use it from there. It also creates a demo website. Apologies, I'm rushing here because we're getting a little bit tight for time. So what I can do is I can take this URL and put it up here. And here's my is this the okay. So here's my chatbot. I could say okay. I've also got another topic which I'll show you. Topic called order. It's asking me to do an order query. And what's this doing? Sorry, this topic is doing is it's got a node which says enter the order number. It saves that in a variable. And what it's doing then, it's passing that variable to a Power Automate flow, going off the CDS, getting the details from the database effectively, and then returning that to the user. And I would show you that example. Go back to topics. Okay, so I've got a topic called order query, which is the one I just ran. I go to the altering canvas. So here's the trigger phrases, find my order query. Here's the question. So it's asking to enter the order. And then you can see then it does what's called an action node. So this action node calls Power Automate. Okay. And that's, if you look at the flow details, you can see this flow ran. And then basically, so this flow takes a HTTP request, goes off, gets the details from CDS, and then returns that in the chat window. Right. Any questions on that, Kevin? How are we doing?
No, we're all good, all good.
Are you nodding off there, Kevin, or something? No, what's going on?
I keep forgetting to unmute, Joe.
So that was Power Virtual Agents. All right. I'm just going to whistle. I've got a few slides on Power BI, but I think it's probably fair to say that of all the Power Platform, I have a family of products in the Power Platform. I think Power BI is the one that's probably most well known. So basically, it's got a tool called Power BI Desktop you download, and from there you can develop, you can pull in your data, create dashboards and reports, and then publish them up onto the Power BI website, and then share those with other people. Okay. You can also embed your Power BI reports, and you can embed those within existing apps like, a model-driven app, Dynamics 365, Teams. Okay. All right. That's probably the end of my slides now, Kevin. I'm conscious that we've probably got just 10 minutes left. So I want to give enough time if there's any questions, and probably to try and give a smooth handover as well to yeah. So just like to thank everybody or anybody who attended, and I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize for the background. We're currently redecorating this room, so we're keeping it real, as I say. So if you have any questions and you didn't want to ask them now, just reach out to me afterwards, or drop me a mail, or connect to me on Twitter. Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Super. Thanks so much, Joe. Great session. Really appreciate it. We'll catch up later.